I'm sure you've seen the recent reports that your agency is going to sponsor a reality show, TV show, in which immigrants would compete for U.S. citizenship. Is DHS seriously vetting a reality show for immigrants to obtain U.S. citizenship? Your spokesperson is quoted in the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to ask that article be in the record, Mr. Chairman, if there's no objection, saying that, quote, it's in the very beginning stages of that vetting process. Each proposal undergoes a thorough vetting process prior to denial or approval.
Sir, we have no knowledge of a reality show. There may have been something submitted to the department, but I did not know anything about this reality show. Until the reporter reached out, we told him we have no knowledge of it. We don't know what he's talking about. And they still printed wrong information. So that article, in fact, they had to change it later because they lied so bad, and they had us on the record saying, I had no knowledge of a reality show. The department didn't. There may have been something submitted somewhere along the line because there are proposals pitched to the department, but me and my executive team have no knowledge of a reality show, and it's not under consideration.
Your response is to confirm that you will not do a reality show.
There are no plans whatsoever to do a reality show.
And that your spokesperson was completely misquoted as saying that it was being vetted.
That article was completely inaccurate and false. And the fact that they printed it when they knew it was false was a dereliction of their work.
Let me go to some of the expenditures that your department is making. $200 million for an ad campaign fawning over President Trump's supposed accomplishments. $21 million between January and April for transporting around 400 immigrants to Guantanamo Bay. About half of them were flown back to the United States. $6 million to El Salvador to imprison 300 individuals in a prison known for grave human rights violations, and many more, including $1,000 to immigrants wishing to self-deport. I understand one of the planes left within the last 24 hours. None of these expenditures are in your present budget. Aren't you going to run out of money before the end of this fiscal year? The continuing resolution doesn't cover any of them.
No, all the dollars being spent are being utilized as authorized and appropriately for the situation.
Well,
that flight that left yesterday,
though, under the continuing resolution or any other way that we normally authorize money. You're just spending recklessly, and it would seem wastefully, without authorization. That's against the law.
Well, Senator, I completely disagree with you. I'm doing the job that the Secretary of Homeland Security is supposed to be doing, the one that the last secretary refused to do, that endangered the future of our country.
May think
what I'm doing is making sure we're enforcing our laws, and that people who are here that are criminal, illegal aliens are returned home.
You are acting in a way you think you're doing your job, but
the American people told us to do this job. The American people overwhelmingly in the last election said, we want a secure border. We want to make sure that no longer are the scales of justice tipped in favor of criminals.
Legal authority and spend money that is not in your budget.
All money is being spent according to how it is authorized and appropriately.
Let me ask you about the money that is being used to supposedly repatriate Afghan allies, refugees to this country from the Taliban, Ukrainians who have fled here from Russian aggression. Can you confirm that money is being taken from the foreign aid allocation?
Are you talking about the temporary protective status program?
Correct.
Yeah. So
the repatriation, supposedly, of those individuals here under the temporary protective status program.
Yeah, so we do have thousands of individuals that are here that have been participating in the TPS program. That has been reevaluated to see if that program is still being utilized the way that it is supposed to be, as intended by Congress when it was laid out.
But there are
if that is always intended to be
publicly reported that say the administration is going to use money from the foreign aid program, AID, to send those people back to countries where they will be persecuted, tortured, and perhaps killed, as the Afghan allies would be. Let me finish my question, ma'am. Where they will be potentially killed, tortured Afghan allies who served us during our wars there, saved lives of American soldiers and diplomats, are going to be sent back to the Taliban using foreign aid money. Can you confirm that's the plan that's been reported in the Washington Post this morning?
No, I won't confirm that because that's not true. Those individuals have an opportunity to apply for asylum and other programs where they will be protected if their lives are in danger from the government that's in their country.
Can't
time has expired. This hearing exchange between Senator Richard Blumenthal and Governor Kristi Noem, acting as head of Homeland Security, is more than a bizarre rumor cleanup. It's a window into how misinformation, misplaced priorities, and a lack of transparency are eroding the credibility of government leadership under the current administration. Senator Blumenthal starts with a question that might sound almost ridiculous on its face, asking if the Department of Homeland Security is seriously considering a reality TV show where immigrants compete for U.S. citizenship. It sounds absurd because it is, but the reason the senator raises it isn't for entertainment value, it's about accountability. The Wall Street Journal, one of the most established outlets in the country, reported that DHS was vetting such a proposal. A DHS spokesperson was even quoted confirming the idea was in the beginning stages of a vetting process. That's not something that just pops up by accident. For Blumenthal, the question isn't only whether it's happening, it's about how something that unserious could be even associated with a department responsible for national security, immigration policy, and citizenship. When Governor Noem denies any knowledge of the idea, claiming the article was false and completely inaccurate, we're watching something that's become far too common: the deflection of responsibility. It's always someone else's fault: the media, a staffer, a misquote, never the department, never the leadership. But Blumenthal's point stands. This isn't just about the optics of a reality show, it's about how DHS communicates with the public and the press. If proposals are being submitted, how are they being vetted? Who has oversight? How did a major paper end up with statements attributed to a DHS spokesperson without internal contradiction? Because whether the report was true or not, it exposes something important: a department adrift in chaos, more focused on messaging than mission, and led by someone who seems more eager to fight journalists than fix systemic issues. Then Blumenthal pivots, and this is where the conversation gets truly revealing. He begins listing off spending decisions that go far beyond odd PR ideas. $200 million for an ad campaign glorifying the administration. Tens of millions to transport immigrants to Guantanamo Bay, and even millions more to fund foreign prisons with records of human rights abuses. These aren't small numbers. And as the senator points out, none of these expenditures were in DHS's approved budget. That's the real concern here: reckless spending that appears politically motivated, not policy-driven. This isn't about protecting borders or keeping Americans safe. It's about image, control, and using taxpayer dollars to project strength instead of governing responsibly. When Blumenthal accuses Noem of acting recklessly and wastefully, he's pointing to something bigger than fiscal irresponsibility. It's the erosion of checks and balances. The power to spend taxpayer money must come from Congress. That's not a suggestion, it's a constitutional requirement. Noem's response, that she's doing the job the last secretary refused to do, tells you everything. It's a familiar refrain, framing chaos as leadership, law-breaking as toughness, and defiance as patriotism. But in reality, ignoring congressional authority isn't patriotism, it's lawlessness dressed up as nationalism. The exchange then turns to one of the most emotionally charged parts of the hearing: America's allies from Afghanistan and Ukraine. Blumenthal asks a simple, devastating question: is the administration using foreign aid money to send back Afghan allies and Ukrainian refugees to the very countries they fled, even though they could face persecution or death? Noem's answer is evasive. She refuses to confirm or deny, insisting that the reports are not true, yet she doesn't explain how those funds are being managed or safeguarded. For context, these aren't random migrants. These are allies who risked their lives for U.S. troops, translators, guides, and partners who stood by America when it mattered most. To even suggest that they might be repatriated using misallocated foreign aid money is beyond policy negligence. It's a betrayal of moral responsibility. Blumenthal's line of questioning exposes something deeper than bureaucratic mismanagement. It's about values, who we are as a country, and what promises we keep. Are we the kind of nation that turns our back on people who stood shoulder to shoulder with us in war zones, or do we honor our commitments? Are we the kind of administration that prioritizes flashy PR and hardline optics over human dignity and accountability? When you step back from this hearing, a pattern emerges: deflect blame, deny wrongdoing, attack the press, frame oversight as interference. It's the same cycle we've seen too often.